How Bryce and Flip won me over on Media Day. And while I generally think veteran leadership is one of the grandest myths of all time, maybe not on the Utah Jazz. Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. I already told you this. We're free and available on all podcasting apps and on YouTube, and we are here for you daily. Everydayers, you're the greatest. Thank you very much. Might have something fun and exciting coming your direction here in the near future. It's brought to you by FanDuel today. New customers can bet just $5, and you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com. I hope you watched that WNBA game last night. That was sick. Fever Aces game was just incredible. Thank you, by the way, for making us the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate you. Cannot thank you enough for that. All right, here's what I've got on today's show. Taylor Hendricks returns a big part of it. He met with the media yesterday. He went through his first practice, the emotions and energy around it. We'll talk about that a little bit. I've got some thoughts on veterans. I don't believe in veteran leadership. I'll explain that comment coming up. And then I'm super impressed by the collection of veterans that Austin Ainge, Justin Zanuck, and Danny Ainge either intentionally or unintentionally brought together this year, and wonder whether they could actually have a future. I'm going to start with the two guys that wowed me the most on Media Day. And those are Brice Sensabaugh and Kyle Filipowski. Let's go with a few premises here, okay? And these things are all made to be changed. One, and I don't think it's, by the way, I think a big part of this is one of these kids is picked 28th and the other is picked 32nd. And while both of them had a lot of accolades, both of them seem to me to have adjusted to that NBA basketball is way different than what I thought it was going to be. And I might be way different than what I thought I was going to be as a player in the NBA, and I better adapt. And that impresses me. So I generally believe that a player comes in the league, every single one of them, and thinks they're going to average 20 points a game and be an all-star. I think that's great. It's actually what a player should think, okay? So that's the first thing. Players going to come into the league, and they're going to believe they're going to be a star. Because why shouldn't they believe that? They've been a star every step. When Ace Bailey looks across at me and tells me he's going to be all-NBA, he's going to be an all-star, and he's going to win Rookie of the Year, why shouldn't he believe that? There's been nothing in his life that's told him that's not true. And it might be true for him. And if you don't believe it, frankly, it's never going to happen. So there's no criticism in believing it. The second thing that happens, they come in the league and they get their ass kicked. It happens, right? I mean, go run through last year's rookies. There wasn't a rookie last year that had a particularly good year. Kyle Filipowski, I think, had the best offensive year. Jalen Wells had a second-round pick. Maybe didn't come in thinking he was going to be an all-star. Had a really good year, impressively, and played a role. And then we'll see if they try to expand a role, how he deals with it. But nonetheless, give him credit. Otherwise, most rookies last year were pretty terrible. And they all thought they were going to be great. And then what I've said numerous times, what happens is they come back into the league the second year, and they try to do the same things over again because they still want to be an all-star. And then it's the second to third year where they adapt. And how fast they figure out what the 3 or 4 things that they need to do really well are to be an 10-year NBA player is going to determine whether they're a 10-year NBA player. Brice Sensabaugh amazingly has it. And actually, Ben Anderson pointed this out in the interview series. Brice Sensabaugh sat there and talked to us the whole time about catch and shoot, playing that game, moving the ball quickly, absolutely different than what he was at Ohio State. When Brice Sensabaugh got the ball at Ohio State, he put it on the deck. He bullied guys. He got to one dribble left-handed. He pulled up for a mid-ranger and he hit it. And Brice Sensabaugh sat in front of us on media day yesterday, on Monday, and talked about being purely a catch-and-shoot player, moving the basketball, being viable defensively, has an awareness of what it is that's going to make him an NBA player. And I think has an awareness that the 40% shooting is a special skill. What's going to be interesting about this, by the way, is if he can make that 40% three-point shooting his calling card and really be that guy, the Ohio State Brice Sensabaugh will actually get to come back. If he tries to be the Ohio State Brice Sensabaugh, he'll never play. There's a real irony to that. If he tries to be a one-on-one, I'm going to beat you, take you into the paint, go and take this mid-range fadeaway, it's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. He's not, frankly, good enough or quick enough just to beat people one-on-one. You can't bully the NBA. There's all sorts of reasons it won't happen. But he was even talking to Georges Niang the other day. Ron Boone brought up to him and said, hey, your game looked totally different in Cleveland. It's like, yeah, you shoot 40% enough in this three, and they really start to close out on you. And so now I've had to drive, get in the lane, and kick. We've tried Brice Sensabaugh as a point guard at times. Wasn't very good. Turnover rate was outrageous. We've tried Brice Sensabaugh as a natural creator. Wasn't very good. But Brice Sensabaugh is a three-point catch-and-shoot, three-point shooter that can make 40% of his three-point shots. There aren't many guys who've done this in their career. That becomes a calling card, and that actually opens up the floodgates to all other aspects of his offense. That's going to be exciting to watch. He really has it in his head. And I specifically asked him, how hard is this? At Ohio State, you were a totally different player. You know, you want to do more. Like, I would guess you want more. He's like, absolutely, but this is what I've got to do. It was very impressive. Kyle Filipowski, for a second-year player, I thought was equally as impressive. Some of the names here are awfully big, and I don't love it when an NBA player tells me, like, who have you watched it? You know, I like when I ask someone, like, if I ask Taylor Hendricks, who has he watched the NBA? If he could tell me Jaden McDaniels, I'd be super excited. That would be the player. I don't want to hear Tracy McGrady. Like, it doesn't match, right? So Kyle does give me, when we asked him, like, he says he studied Blake Griffin, Anthony Davis for their ball handling as a big. Okay, those are two Hall of Famers, but I get it. He then did say he studied a bunch of Kelly Olynyk. He just heard enough comps to Kelly Olynyk that he studied Kelly Olynyk. I thought it was okay. He has who he is. He's a unique ball handling big. That's going to be his calling card. He's right on it. He's not trying to be something else. It's probably obvious, but it's still there. What I thought was most interesting is I asked him, you did not finish well at the rim last year. If you remember, I think Kyle was in about the 17th or 18th percentile of rim finishing last year. So I was nice enough to bring it up, right? So I asked him, like, okay, what's most difficult about that on an NBA level? And he said he didn't know what his numbers were Duke too, but he assumes that they were not as good. It was clear that while I brought this up, he was actually in the 39th percentile in rim finishing, by the way, at 66%. I knew 17 was wrong. He brought what he did say is that, yes, he was aware of this. And so he actually studied Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic as players who are able to get shots off at the rim without elite athleticism and without necessarily playing it over the top and dunking. You know, his point is, I'm going to get my dunks. I'll get some dunks. But when I don't dunk, how am I finishing? Okay, that is great awareness right there. Because that's a concession to the length and genius of those around him in this league. And there's a little bit of that's what has to happen. You don't have to be humble, but you have to concede a little bit that, hey, there's these guys here that are really freaking good. Kyle had 47 dunks in 72 games last year. That's great. Like, he needs to keep that number going. But then what does he do inside of 3 feet when he needs to try to finish? And he's got it. He took 22% of his shots inside 3 feet last year. That's a pretty decent number. And he shot 32% of his feet from 3 to 10 feet. Those are pretty decent numbers. And now he works on developing the skill to finish. I was super impressed by that. He understands defensively. Both of them know they have to be viable defensively. But I'm not sure that either of them think they're going to be elite defensively, right? Elijah Harkless literally looked across the table at us and told us he was going to be the best defensive player in the entire NBA. And Taylor Hendricks has made a bunch of comments about defense, which is exciting to hear. And even in his press conference yesterday, he talked about that. And, it was brought up like, well, that's not who you were in college. Where did this come about? So there is some awareness going on there with Taylor with the year out also. These were not the only two that had some self-awareness. I just thought they were unique. They jumped out to me as though they're ahead of the curve to me in grasping what it's going to take for them to have a 10-year NBA career. And it was exciting to hear that. The veterans of this team, maybe. Let me explain why I don't like veteran leadership, but where these guys are interesting, but it's not going to be easy with them this year. Next on Locked On Jazz. At Locked On Jazz, we've been really, really fortunate. We have basically 2 local sponsors that are on the show and have been on the show for years now. And the reason for that is because of the fact that, well, one, if we don't do the 3-month in and out unless there's a unique circumstance. There might be one coming up here. If it happens, you'll know. You kind of have to sign in. Like, we're doing this together. Intercap Lending has now been with us, I think, for 7 years. Steve Carter has been our loan officer now for, I think, 7 years. And it's really one of the great things I can offer you. If you're looking for a loan right now, Intercap is a mortgage company that's been shaking up things and making home loans accessible, straightforward, and personal. Their underwriting times are 24 hours. Most banks can be 4 to 7 days, and they're still serving 60% of their loans. The thing we have for you is Steve Carter, and he's our own personal loan officer, and he is just truly awesome. I send you to him with complete, utter confidence and excitement that you'll get to experience and feel the unreasonable hospitality that is Steve Carter. So if you're looking for a loan right now, please send me an email at dlock09@gmail.com so we can set you up with Steve Carter. If you don't want me involved, I get it. It's your life. You can call Steve directly at 385-800-8528. That's 385-800-8528. NMLS 1178666. Steve Carter is your own personal loan officer at Intercap Lending for being a Locked On VIP. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Did the Aces end up covering last night, by the way, in that overtime with all the... Yes, they did. 106. Wow. Overtime game, and the Aces ended up covering last night. So that must have been a heck of it if you have money there. The NFL season's here. FanDuel's got a special deal. Right now, customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets back if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5. If it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets across the app. Again, I am not here to tell you how to sports bet, but I will tell you logically, find the college football game with like the 50-point spread and use that, and then get your $300 of bonus bets. Major League Baseball games are all going on right now as well. Some good low-scoring games yesterday, under on almost all of them, but the Dodger game, I think. The Guardians and the Tigers go back to battle. They're over under 6.5. Padres and Cubs today, 6.5 as well. Red Sox and Yankees are at 7.5, and the Dodgers and Reds is at 8. Yamamoto on the mound. All sorts of big fun parlays you can get there as well. College football kicks up on Thursday night. If you want to jump in on that action, obviously on Saturday, BYU's a 19.5-point favorite against the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Georgia, 20.5-point favorite against Kentucky as well. It's all at FanDuel.com. Thank you very much for making Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. Appreciate you immensely for that. It's been a wild ride. Veteran leadership. It's like the most media talked about thing in the world. I've been in the league since 1992. I'm old. I've rarely seen it in the way it's talked about. It's usually talked about by media and fans as though like the team needs veteran leadership. 95% of the time I've seen veteran leadership. Well, let me clarify that. About 40% of the time I've seen bad veteran leadership. Okay, I've just seen bad leadership. The other time what I've seen is veterans opening the eyes to young players that they're going to get screwed by the league. You better go get yours. Get your shots, get your points, get your rebounds. That's how you get paid in this league. This franchise will trade you. Don't build loyalty. They'll screw you. It's all about you. Get your stuff. They're not lying, by the way. They're not lying. And so it's interesting to me every time I hear the concept that someone thinks that you're going to have veteran leadership and that the veteran leadership is going to somehow lead in the name of a team, particularly when Kevin Love, in this case, when Kevin Love, Svi Mykhailiuk, Kyle Anderson, Jusuf, they've been here for like a week. Svi's been here for a year. But why would Kevin Love or Kyle Anderson or any of those guys have any loyalty to the Utah Jazz? They don't. So when they're giving veteran leadership, it's not in the name of the team. It's in the name of the player and their career. Where they can be really valuable, I don't know that ears are open for this, is body maintenance, taking care of yourself, understanding 82-game schedule, what it means to win, the difference between, like, those things can be really valuable. And I actually think some of the veteran leadership is most valuable on a good team. That if you're really good, like Cleveland better have some veteran leadership on their roster today that keeps Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, and Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen away from stupid, petty, ridiculous things, DeAndre Hunter. And reminds them like what's at stake and how rarely it's at stake. You know, Minnesota needed Mike Conley to calm things down there because he understood like, oh, wait. I got to a Western Conference Finals in my second year. I haven't been back. Guys, let's not screw this up. That's where you can, on a good team. On a team like this, I think you're asking them to model behavior. And I think you're asking them to be available when asked. And I think if you have good guys, you do have them maybe acting as a little bit of a coach. Patty Mills certainly did that last year. Patty Mills was incredible. Drew Eubanks was pretty great. The Jazz are doing a pretty good job of bringing in veterans who seem to understand it. What's a little interesting to me about this season is Patty Mills really knew his career was over. I don't know if he's still in the league. I kind of suspect he's not. Maybe he's got one more year with the Clippers. But I mean, if he is, it's just because he's the greatest guy in the world. Drew Eubanks was still trying to play. He just wasn't very good. Like, he's just not an elite player. So he's just battling his ass off. The one thing on Kyle Anderson, Jusuf Nurkic, Georges Niang, and Kevin Love is they all want to play. It's very clear talking to them this week. They all want to play. Kevin Love might have the best grasp of anyone at 19 years in the league and only 6 guys left in his draft class of where he is in his career. And I did see practice yesterday. I'm not going to reveal a lot about it because it was a kind of a gift for us to be there. He busted his ass yesterday. It jumped out to me. Like there was a up and back running thing. And I think he won. So he wants to play. And he's going to be amazing. If you listen to him in his media interviews, he can't help himself. He's amazing. And he'll be helpful to the guys. That's who he is. Because Kevin Love talks about how he was in Minnesota without any veterans at all. And he picked up a bunch of bad habits. So this is the flip side of what I started with. I generally think the way we talk about veteran leadership is a little bit of a joke. But there is a role of a veteran guiding you along the way to understand how you're supposed to do things, what is important, what's not. And Kevin Love openly says, like, I was in Minnesota, I had no veteran leadership. The closest thing he had was Al Jefferson. He had no veteran leadership. Enes Kanter did not have veteran leadership when he was here either from Al Jefferson. And so Kevin Love said he got to Cleveland, he was selfish and had bad habits. And so what Kevin Love is probably talking about is the leadership that I've talked about is what Kevin Love got early in his career. Go get your points, go get your rebounds, go get you, you'll get paid. That's what you need to do. They'll all screw you. Kevin Love is coming here with a way different perspective on this. And Kevin Love, I think, will be invaluable. Also, he's a Hall of Famer, and he just holds a lot of clout. Guys know who he is. He was on those teams when they were watching LeBron. They know who Kevin Love is. He's really freaking good. He stopped Steph Curry on the one-on-one to win the title. Like, they know who he is. Kevin Love is a basketball name. If you're around the game, you know who he is. He's got clout. Kyle Anderson wants to play. Kevin Love wants to play. Jusuf Nurkic wants to play. Svi Mykhailiuk wants to play. Georges Niang wants to play. That's going to be the interesting piece of this. As great as these guys all are, and they're great. Like, I would love to go to dinner with any of them and spend time with them. They're really interesting, bright people who take the game seriously, understand it, know it. They're fabulous to have around, but they want to play. Kevin Love kind of wants to stay in the league. This is not his last hurrah. He'd like to sneak in another year or two of this. Kyle Anderson wants 3 or 4 more years. Jusuf Nurkic wants 3 or 4 more years. The money's real. Georges Niang wants 3 or 4 more years. So these guys are not coming to Utah to hang it up and take a year off. So I do think that's going to be a little bit of an interesting rub here this year. I also think it's kind of perfect because Will Hardy's big line is competency, not credentials. Like, if his young guys don't play, those guys are going to play. They're good. In fact, they're better than our young guys right now. They just know how to play. So in regards to modeling leadership, I'm going to start. These guys might be okay. The fact they still want to play means they're going to be going hard every day. And if you're not ready, they're going to bust your ass. They're probably going to be able to model behavior that the other guys are going to learn. Like, damn, this old man is kicking my, you know what? They're also naturally good humans. You can tell. Kyle Anderson's super thoughtful. He's had to adapt his career. He thinks he's a point guard. He still does today. He wants to be a point guard. The league in the world never let him be a point guard. He had to adapt to play a position he doesn't want to play. If you started to talk to a young kid about it, it was telling him, whoa, back off. Like, I rolled with this. And I'm now in my 12th year. Georges Niang was a down low Iowa State post scorer, went to the G League, changed his game, became a three-point shooter, now has adapted his game off that, gone back to using his Iowa State skills. When some guy starts, whoa. I changed. I adapted. I was undrafted. I'm on my 10th year in the NBA. They're going to be invaluable in that. So these veterans are really interesting to me. 1, they're fabulous people. 2, they all still want to play. So I think they're going to push the guys. 3, I think they naturally are good people to be helpful. 4, they're still going to tell them the truth about the league, which is get yours. This is your moneymaker. Get your money. But hopefully they're going to teach them to them in a model that's also how you win, how you play right, how you're a good teammate. Because Kyle Anderson had some of the great leadership ever in San Antonio, and Kevin Love had no leadership in Minnesota. So they come from very different perspectives. It's going to be really interesting. The return of Taylor Hendricks is the feel-good story of the day. It's next on Locked on Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by one of my favorite things in life, Peloton. Yes, I love to cycle outdoors, but you can't do that when you're traveling all around the NBA season. You can't do that all the time here. You couldn't do that yesterday here. So what do? I get on my Peloton bike and ride. Well, guess what? Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's the most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance, endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak. If you've never used Peloton, it is literally the home gym, the home system that makes you want to go back to it all the time. Their instructors are great. The music's great. They fire you up. It's perfect. They build you plans. It's awesome. So Peloton IQ offers a real-time strength coach. It actually tracks your reps, suggests your right weights, corrects your form, makes everything rep smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer, so you can turn on the tread, plus to strength training without missing a beat and the personalized class recommendations. It's great. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's onepeloton.com. The most heartwarming thing that has taken place is Taylor Hendricks is back on the floor. That was super horrific. The thing that makes it so heartwarming is Taylor Hendricks. Taylor embraced this injury, Will Hardy said the other day, in a way that none of us could have ever imagined or could have probably done ourselves. And in turn has gained the love and respect of his teammates at a really high level. Keyonte George openly said, like, I pretty much broke into tears when Taylor got on the floor for the first time with us. Taylor said he did too. Taylor's been on the floor for a while. So Taylor told me that he went to Spain. There's an incredible setup in Spain, in Europe, for the NBA players that the Player Association has. And right after Summer League, Taylor went to Spain, and that's when he got in a full run. So that's mid-July. He's a full participant right now. I don't think we should have high expectations for him. He's playing with juice. He's gone through a truly horrific injury, and he's been able to kind of work through it to become, and is now playing. He says he doesn't think about it at all. I asked him if he'd had a specific moment in which allowed him to say, oh, I'm okay. You think you fall or do something. He says he really hasn't had that at all. He just is playing. He's trained so hard. He's doing all this stuff. He went through all the progressions. This is a credit to the Jazz strength and conditioning staff and Isaiah Wright and all the other guys who work so much with him, that he just feels like he's ready. He said his fast twitch muscle was slow to come, but now he feels like it's there. So Taylor feels as though he's back. Now, let's be honest. Taylor's played 40 NBA games and really not 40 important NBA games and hasn't been we'll see, right? We have what's the right way to say this? We have nothing in our track record of Taylor's performance up to this date that tells us anything about what we think he's going to be as a player. Anything we think that Taylor's going to be as a player, we've kind of fabricated in our head from brief moments. Fine, that's what we do. So he's got a long way to go. I said this on a Taylor Hendricks show earlier this month, that actually my emotions and thoughts of the day he got injured is where we all should stay, which is literally this year was kind of like a waste. That you probably can evaluate a little bit of him post All-Star break, but not much. And we have a tendency, I think, to try to make that a bigger deal than what we than what we want to make him a bigger deal and do a lot of things. Let's let him be. But the cool thing that's going on here is, one, his energy and how much he's grown up. How he took, maybe it would have happened naturally. But the fact that he took this year of horrific rehab in what could have been depressing and used it to, I feel like, glow up as a human, both visually and personality-wise. If you saw him, any of the cuts from him yesterday at the dais on the podium, he's terrific. He's absolutely different, engaging, looks at you, speaks to you. It's fabulous. And so there's a really interesting blossoming of Taylor Hendricks, the person, that has taken place in the midst of this horrific injury and got him through this. He was a sheepish, shy person. He's now engaging, smiling, maybe just a natural 19 to 21-year-old development, but it's happened. It's cool. In the same time, the way he approached his rehab with this positive energy, without the lack of, has brought his teammates along with him on the ride. And it's part of what I talked about in yesterday's show, that there's a real camaraderie in this young group of kids. And Keontae's leading it. But Taylor may be the fulcrum of it. If you think about the bicycle spoke, I think Taylor might be the middle of all of it, just in that one of their guys went through something, battled through it. They were all watching him together. They're all a part of it now. And that he may be the reason why there is this camaraderie. We'll see over time. And obviously he's going to have to be able to play and hit that corner three and show some skills of ball handling he hasn't shown before, and really he wants to be a great defensive player and do that. He's got the body for it. It's going to be fabulous if he can. Such a fun year ahead of us. Such a fun year ahead of us. All right, day one of training camps in the book. The word was a lot of conditioning, long, 3 hours almost, busting their ass, really working hard, getting after it. And that, they played hard. They went hard. Everyone's rusty. Everyone's tired. Everyone's jittery. Kevin Love even said that. And that they went hard. And there's a lot that Will Hardy is really pushing the conditioning on this young group to be able to do that coming up into practice. All right, that is the word from the Jazz. We'll be back with you tomorrow for a Thursday edition of Locked On Jazz. And then Friday, we'll do, of course, because you guys have earned it by being so awesome, a Ask LOJ. So if you want to email me some of those questions at dlock09@gmail.com, you can do so now. Otherwise, throw them to me on X or wherever on Thursday. This has been Locked On Jazz. We send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel. Plus, make sure you catch Locked On NBA, Wes Goldberg, Matt Moore, Hayes, daily on Locked On NBA.